For decades, Graça Machel has championed several causes, in particular the rights of children, becoming a UNICEF ambassador and receiving numerous international awards for her work. 10 years ago, she married Nelson Mandela, affectionately known as Madiba. First of all, congratulations on your 10th wedding anniversary. Does it seem like a long time?
Long and short. It has been quite a fulfilling period of our lives together. So as we enjoy every day, we look back, it's like it has been long, but it's also short. 10 years, it's not that much, isn't it?
Now, you've been working hard on children's issues all your life. So has Nelson Mandela. This is something that he has particularly, in recent years, been dedicating his life to. Was this the kind of thing that brought you together?
One of them. I must say that the way we met, it was around, frankly, I went to see Nelson Mandela first to ask him to help to find the truth around the death of Samara Machel. And from that point on, we kept talking about diversity of issues. And I think that's when we discovered that we have many things in common, particularly the issue of children. But I must also say that there was something which sparkled in meantime. Madiba was a lonely person when I met him. I was also a grieved woman because of the sense of loss I had in life. So that loneliness and need of a shoulder to lean on, I think it played a role to bring us together. So it was, in one sense, a meeting of minds, but also a meeting of hearts, of course.
I seem to remember him through those years, as those late 90s, before you actually got married, and he seemed to be looking happier and happier as the time went on. And I remember everybody like Desmond Tutu saying, well, when are they going to get married? I mean, why aren't they married yet? Did you find that amusing at the time?
You see, we were so comfortable with having just opportunity to be together that marriage was not really our first option. But we became closer and closer. We started to go out together. I appeared with him in in public and official duties as a head of state at that time. And certainly it started to be a bit awkward that he will have a companion, as they would call me, and there was no reason why we wouldn't get married. But he was particularly uncomfortable that he was setting what he called a bad example to young people, not to honor the institution of marriage. So we discussed it, but I was a bit more reluctant until I thought the best present for his 80th birthday would be exactly to marry him at that day.
You mentioned the tragic death of Samora Machel, another great African leader, and after his death you were on the record as saying that you could never see yourself marrying again.
That's true.
What changed your mind?
Nelson Mandela. You know, only a person like Madiba would make me change my mind, and he did. He succeeded to do. As I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, I was very reluctant. I'll tell you why. Not because I didn't have commitment to him. I loved him very deeply, as I do today. But I wasn't sure how I would manage to have my family, the Machel family, linking with such a big other family, which is the Mandela family, you know. And I felt that I had loyalty to my children because they had lost a father already. And it wouldn't be fair for them to lose a mother again. So I was torn between my responsibilities as a mother and myself as a woman who loved someone and who needed to carry on in life. So that was the hesitation, really. And it was not because of lack of commitment and no. But then we talked about it very extensively, Madiba and I. And he is so, I mean, he's extraordinary. He took my children really as his own. And I felt comfortable that conflict, which I thought it may arise, there was no space for it, and it has been working very, very well.
You mention wife, mother, woman. You're also an individual who's remained particularly powerful in the causes that you have always addressed. Has it been difficult to retain that sense of individuality through a relationship like this?
No. Fortunately, because Madiba has allowed me to continue to be myself. That's one of the great things he offered me, is that he always respected my space. He always respected the causes I had embraced. There is a lot of communion on this, but I had already made my choices before I met him. And, it has been wonderful for a man of his age. He would allow me to be in Mozambique 10 days if I needed to, while he would be in South Africa, because our agendas were clashing and he didn't want to interfere with that. He wouldn't allow me to travel. At that time, I was still traveling extensively, and leave him alone. And he wouldn't mind, which I think even younger men would find it very difficult to accept that. Let me say also another thing. He allowed me to keep my nationality, and even I'm still Mrs. Machel, as you have realized. So he doesn't interfere with my identity. He doesn't interfere with the work I'm doing. He doesn't interfere. No, I think that's exactly the kind of relationship which makes it so special, because really we have a deep sense of sharing, but at the same time we respect extremely, the identity of each one of us. And I must say again, for a man of his age, for a man who has gone through the kind of experiences in life, he could become extremely possessive. He's not. Maybe that's what explains what really love means. You don't possess anyone, do you? So that's to say we have found a very, very balanced and very respectful way of relating to each other.
You mentioned loneliness. Since his release, Nelson Mandela has been somebody that the whole world seems to want to own, to be part of. And yet within that, you mentioned that he was lonely.
Yeah. When I met him, in the sense of as a man and a woman, he was very lonely. Let me explain this. We started to have a relationship that was 3 years after he had left Winnie. So he had the world, in his hands, and if you like, on his knees. But at the end of the day, after the public meetings, etc., he would go home and he would be alone. Madiba didn't have anyone to share even the joys of being free, the challenges of the issues which he was dealing with at the time. And it's just that sense of company you need. After the work, you need to go home and you have your family. You don't have to discuss anything, but to be able to embrace your children, to embrace your wife, to share a meal with someone, all those little things in life which makes it so meaningful and important. He was missing that. And really, the house where I went and met him, it was gloomy. It was cold. So that's what I'm talking in terms of loneliness. And you know what? It was particularly painful for him, because after the 27 years in jail, what he was longing mostly It was not only the glory of political life, but it was exactly to have a family life, which he missed most of his time. And that was exactly what he couldn't get. And if I can say in a very modest way, that's what I gave him back. And I'm happy that one of our daughters speaks of his sunset years. That's Zinzi. She talks of sunset years. I'm happy that in these sunset years of his life, I'm there for him. And of course, he's there for me too.
We're going to take a short break and we'll hear more from Graça Machel in a moment. Welcome back, and I'm talking to Graça Machel, the wife of Nelson Mandela. You have played a very big role in reuniting a family that had been divided through a very sad period of time. I speak about Winnie Mandela, I speak about the daughters, as you mentioned. Did you do this consciously? Did you think that this was an important thing to keep that sense of family?
Yes and no. I'll say yes because I felt in Madiba that he was longing for having his family around him. So that was conscious, that it was important to bring them together. And when I say no, it's because, you know, in my life, for reasons which I cannot explain, I always had to do that. My first marriage was also with a man who had, as you mentioned, he had already 6 children, and from different mothers. So I did that from the age of 20, late 20s. That's what I did. So it was very much in my way of building bridges and bringing the children together. But for Madiba, it was particularly important because after he had reconciled the world, I was conscious that it will be important for him to reconcile his family. So I facilitated that consciously, knowing how important it was for him. But I must say that it was also based in the kind of experience I have had before, so it was not particularly new to me to do it. But I'm glad that we managed, because I think it has helped to really lead him to be in peace with everybody, to be in peace with the world, but to be in peace with his family, to be in peace with himself.
What is there about Nelson Mandela that the world doesn't know, but you think they should know? Is there something?
I think, yeah, it's those very, very simple things when he really comes down to earth and he becomes himself. When he takes off his shoes, when he doesn't need to be, you know, to be aware that someone is watching. Let me tell you something. Because of the 27 years in prison, Madiba learned always to be on guard, because he didn't want his oppressors to find him in a situation where they could detect any of his vulnerabilities. So he was always alert, and he was always prepared to fight back. That has developed a huge sense of discipline in what he does. Every single thing he does is so well planned, because he wants to make sure that between him and the enemy, as he would call it, there wouldn't be any opportunity of finding him vulnerable. He would have always to be strong. He will be always prepared to give the right answer, etc., etc. So his mind is extremely disciplined, and even in small things, he's a very, very disciplined person, and predictable somehow, if you can say. So the space, I feel, it's exactly when he becomes simply himself. He doesn't need to have all this. He knows that he can do any kind of nonsense, if you like, because he's just a human being, and he can have all the vulnerabilities, all the weaknesses which a human being has, and without having to defend himself. And that is a space which I must say I'm happy to feel, but also I'm very protective of it in the sense that I'm not sharing it in details very much.
I mean, he himself has said that he doesn't like being considered a saint. I mean, his phrase, a saint is a sinner who got up and walked. That's very much a part of his character, that it's all-encompassing. A person isn't totally good or totally bad. There's a mixture of things within people. Does that apply to him?
And he means it. He means it. You know, even when he tells us that the time he decided to negotiate, there was the political settlement, but at the same time, he knew that in every human being there is a kind of goodness, and he played in that goodness to bring those who were separate from him for political reasons, but to say, for the sake of humanity which we share, and for the sake of our people, you and I have to bring this goodness to a level where it serves the purpose of reconciliation. But that's the political side of it. But Madiba is really a human being. And it's fascinating to see him when he is surrounded by children. He also gets angry. I think people should know that. He gets angry. He is somehow stubborn. You need to convince him. You have to have a very good argument to make him change his mind. And so he has weaknesses. He's not like really. There's a difference between the man who is, I mean, he is admired and he has the aura, you know, and he has this sense of dignity which you always see on him. He gets into a room, he sits down, he greets, etc. But that is part of him. He is not acting, but at the same time, he doesn't need to act when he's angry. He doesn't need to act when he feels like he is tired. He doesn't. He also says things which sometimes makes you think twice. So he's not really, and he's not a saint, and I'm glad he's not, because then he would be a monster. He wouldn't be a human being, you know. But those who have shared with him private moments, they know what I mean, that he's far from being a saint. And he made mistakes in life also. Not towards his family, he made mistakes. He made mistakes towards his friends. He made mistakes even in political decisions. So what happens, if I can say, is that the world needs symbols. The world needs, I mean, to really to highlight the best of values we can find in certain human beings. And we have them as the reference of what we would like to be, okay? But Mandela is one of those. So we deliberately, and I understand why, we deliberately minimize his weaknesses and we minimize his vulnerabilities. And we give much more importance because that's what counts. What is the meaning of saying that, oh, well, he's a stubborn person? It doesn't help anything. But what he has offered to his country, to Africa, to the world, it's much more important than him being stubborn. You see? So we keep and we highlight and we cherish, we really, if you like, we even overvalue, if you like, what he means in goodness than whatever can be as human weaknesses.
A last question, and at this time of wedding anniversary, of 90th birthday, this busy time, what do you think ultimately Nelson Mandela has given to the world? What do you think is the one thing that you, as somebody who knows him so well, what do you think he has given to all around?
That's a big question. I think in a turbulent world, which has been the last decades of 20th century and now the 21st, what Madiba offers, it's really that sense of dignity, the sense of perseverance in what is good, and never move away from what is good, what is just in terms of justice, what is the protection of the most vulnerable. You see, what makes of him so important is the kind of thing which happened recently in our region. When you feel that the issue of leadership is floating in terms of what is the direction we have to go, he comes and he says 3 words, just 3, and that alone settles the waters, and it gives the sense of direction, and everyone says, exactly, this is where we should have to go. I think he still has that ability, and it's extraordinary because it happens in a very simple way. It's natural on him. He doesn't make a special effort. Yesterday, I was listening to him when he was talking to children and to say thanks to the birthday. The way he said, we need our communities to be safer. We need, it's a very simple message, but it sticks exactly where we need to say, this is the direction. So I don't know how to say it in short, but that sense of, that kind of leadership, but the kind of humanity, a deep humanity of how to look at the other, and how you empathize with the other, and you take it as yourself, and you offer to the other also yourself. I don't know how to say, because English is not my language, but that's exactly what, because it's not a leadership in vacuum. It's a very humane leadership. And I think that's what Madiba does. He gives us leadership with a very deep sense of humanity. And we are blessed to have him, I think. We are blessed to have him, and we are really blessed that he's still with us in these turbulent times.
Graça Machel, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Mike Hanna in Johannesburg.